Our story begins in the Cube world, where there was a perfect 4 kingdoms. In the north, there was the Rectaloids. In the east, there was the Squarites. In the south, we had the Four-Siders. And finally, in the west, we had the Cubers. These kingdoms all hated each other because they thought their own kingdom was supreme. However, they were united in one thing: racism. And the only thing that these kingdoms hated more than each other was circles. Specifically, a group of people named the Circlers. And throughout history, all of these kingdoms had exterminated and isolated Circlers systematically until there were just 2 left. And these 2 remaining Circlers were forever banished to the middle of the map in their own cubic prison, where the last 2 people were named Golothmite, Destroyer of Cubes, and Susan. And these people were called Circlers because of the array of powers that they have, along with the immortality that they possessed. The linear basic cube kingdoms just couldn't handle nor understand it. And although only 2 Circlers remain, in 1,000 years the walls of this prison will begin to collapse, and Golothmite, Destroyer of Cubes, and Susan will have their revenge. And that is where this video begins. We will click unpause as Susan and Golothmite wake up and quickly form their own kingdom. Golothmite is the self-proclaimed king, while Susan is the village leader. However, if you did notice, there was one singular biome tile in the middle of this prison, which is the blessed biome. And as we can see here, it is going to be spreading over their entire home as their kingdom grows and expands. But speaking of expanding, the 4 cube kingdoms will also begin expanding too. And even though this is my second video where I've trapped people on the island in the middle, the difference here is that in my first video, the dude was super overpowered, and as soon as I let him out in the world, he easily won. But the issue here is that Golothmite and Susan, although they are very powerful, if things go right for the Cubers, they can still pretty easily be killed. So that means that Golothmite and Susan are going to have to get, well, busy and have a lot of children too, so that when they are released, they can easily take down these threats too. But of course, we have a long way to go, and there's not a lot happening right now. So we are going to sim 250 years ahead, 1/4 of the way there, and see both how the Circlers are doing along with the 4 square kingdoms. And oh yeah, remember, like I said in the start, all of these cube kingdoms hate each other. So don't be surprised if we see them fighting each other really soon. And here we are at year 250, and as we can see, the Squarites have taken over. So the Squarites rule supreme, but as we can see, the Circlers have pretty much exactly 10% of their population. They've grown a lot faster than I thought they would. And look at this, they have a full civilization on their own. And if we look at the subspecies breakdown here, we can see that there are 403 Circlers and 10 Rectaloids. I'm not even sure how that happened. How did they get in there? But if there's 403 Circlers, that should mean that this guy has 401 kids, right? That would make sense. Oh, no. Uh-oh. Oh, something bad must have gone wrong. Now, don't get me wrong, that's a lot of kids. But if we look in here at a random person like this guy, Conway, oh, yeah, that's his sister. And you know what the worst part about this is? He's 70 years older than she is. Some people are quickly gonna jump and say that I have handsome migrants on or something. You know, the world law where it just spawns in people automatically. No, never had it on at all. That's questionable, but they're still really powerful. So essentially, basically, the question is now, can 10 normal humans take down 1 Circler? But likewise, on the Squarite side, they are doing just fine as well. They have not only taken over the world, but adapted too, as they have tons of houses and almost 2,000 soldiers, while the Circlers don't even have a single troop. But as we check interesting people here, I expect the board to be mostly cleared with Circlers. Unsurprisingly, most children goes to Susan and Golothmite. Smartest is a bunch of Circlers. Dumbest is a couple of wild animals and a dude named Tyre. That's the kind of first name you would attribute to someone with 0 intelligence. Fastest, strongest Circlers, and of course, most health is none other than Golothmite himself. But anyway, that is all for year 250. Now we're going to sim ahead to year 500 and see what the world looks like then. And here we are at year 500. Close enough. As we can see, our two kingdoms have expanded much slower, but they are kind of running out of room here. The circlers biome is finally completely rounded out, so it is all enchanted now. However, I don't think their populations can get much higher. The circlers are still almost perfectly pure. They still have their 10 rectaloids and even, wow, 1 cuber snuck in. But the squarites and their hate for circles persists, as they have absolutely no circlers at all. But I do find it interesting to see how all the other subspecies of square people are actually still alive and doing well. But in terms of size, the squarites now have 2.6 thousand soldiers, while for some reason the circlers just refuse to pick up a weapon. However, once these walls fall down, it won't really matter, as the circlers will be out for revenge. Susan and Galothmite are up to 543 kids each. But it's still concerning how some of the circlers are dating their siblings. So before we move on, once again, we're just gonna check interesting people one more time. Galothmite and Susan still have the most kids. However, they actually have 2 more births than they have kids, meaning that at some point 2 of their children have died, which is actually impressive considering how much health they have and they're immortal. The smartest is a circle, the fastest is a circle, and the strongest is still a circle. Of course, the most health, like usual, is Galothmite, Destroyer of Cubes, with 6,300. And with that, it is time to move on to year 750, where we'll probably do one last really quick check-in before the circles have their revenge. Here we are at year 750, and yeah, once again, not much has changed. The squarites population might have actually gone down, although their number of soldiers has gone up a ton. But the circlers population has increased a tad bit, and oh my god, they have an army now. As a matter of fact, almost every single person they have is in the army. There's only 40 that are not. But Susan and Galothmite have now had 765 kids, and then yada yada yada, you know, brothers marry sisters, all that adds up to this. And you know, maybe it's just because I've been looking at this map for too long. Doesn't it kind of look like the Instagram logo? I don't know. I've probably been looking at it too long. I should probably go do useful stuff with my life. But anyway, like I said, that was going to be a really short check-in. So we're going to go ahead and sim to year 1000, where we're finally going to let the circles have their revenge. And here we are, year 1000. That took a while because my game's starting to slow down from the sheer amount of people. But even though the squarites are actually just staying the same, somehow the circlers are still expanding, which is actually probably kind of actually concerning if you think about it. But anyway, since it's been 1000 years, the walls begin crumbling and shaking. Ooh, also known as me just getting rid of them. And with the walls destroyed, paths open up on all sides, finally connecting the isolated circlers with their sworn rivals. Once again, the circlers' army is just about every single person in their entire population, but the squarites are equally armed too, with over 3,000 soldiers themselves. Your average circle soldier has about 2,700 health, which is definitely manageable, but it's gonna be hard for these squares to win. But with that, Angry Villagers is turned on. Future births are disabled, and don't forget that every kingdom is super racist, and the circles declare war. This is going to be intense as the squarites population is absolutely being decimated. It's plummeting. Look at all of the circles in their one army being unleashed on the world. But if you notice, you might see explosions here and there, because I didn't mention this, but every single circle has the death bomb trait, meaning that everyone that dies, especially in big armies like this, is actually going to weaken the whole army. But the squarites, in just a matter of seconds, less than 2 years, have already nearly halved their population, but the army is just so quick maneuverable that any invaders don't stand a single chance. You can literally see the trail of damage from where the Circler's army was because of the bombs that followed it. But pretty much wherever the Circler's army decides to go is the area that will be destroyed next. And maybe, potentially, if the troops could actually take the capital, that would technically end the war. However, that would be almost impossible to do, and oh my god, the Squareite Empire has fractured apart, and there are less than 400 people in these remaining kingdoms, while the Circlers still reign supreme with their army. Look at the Circlers army. I'm trying to follow them as they head up in the north. Look how quick they are. It's like a virus how quickly they organize and head to different places, almost like bacteria. But finally, the official Squareite's kingdom is no more. Kingdom after kingdom they destroy, and the last kingdom is gone. The Circlers don't even fall below 1,000 people. That's how efficiently they did this. And they have completely rid the world of any Squareites at all. As a matter of fact, let's check subspecies now. Oh my god, there's nothing left. I'm pretty sure it's entirely Circlers. The only way to check is looking at their kingdom. Oh my god, one Rectoloid remains. This man, Joita, who is a Kingslayer and a veteran with 12 kills. You know, even though he's not a Circler, he really is loyal. But as for the rest of the dudes, yeah, they're all dead. And if you're still watching at this point, clearly I did something to entertain you, so I would appreciate it if you would like and subscribe on your way out. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Farewell.